before we get started, what tools we're going to use in this presentation. The R programming language, this is the console of R. I'll be using the 4.12 version of R programming language. R Studio, the integrated development environment for the R programming language. Python 3.10. I think the latest version of Python is 3.10.4, if I'm not mistaken. These are the basic tools we're gonna use in this presentation. If you're working with Anaconda, that's fine. We're gonna show you how to set R Studio to work with Python in R Studio. The very first time I saw this, I was excited, shocked, intimidated. R Studio, a single home for R and Python. The very first idea when you were working with R, and especially with R Studio, is that it only works for R programming language. You can only do R stuff with R Studio. As you can see, in R Studio, you can work with R, with Python, SQL, C++, and if you use R Markdown, you can put all that together and create reports, create dashboards, presentations. We're gonna see through the presentation, but I like this one, that Python creating that R Studio single home for R and Python. Okay, guys. We're gonna go to the end of the presentation. As Jakub just shared with you, these are the final documents we're gonna create in this presentation. This is an HTML document we were gonna create through the presentation using Markdown. We're gonna use two platforms, RPops and Netlify. So you can see, you can ask yourself through the presentation, hey, Renzo, I can share my critical and top secret report of my company in a RPops that is a public platform. For that, you'll be using Netlify. This is your local server, your online server, where you share your reports and dashboards. Markdown document. This is some kind of a report when we can mix R programming code. As you can see, ggplot, some libraries from the R programming world, Matplotlib, Python code inside an R Markdown report turned into an HTML, and you got the output right here. And we're gonna add some tutorial, some video to the report. Okay, guys. Every single tutorial out there, if you check out YouTube, even the official ones from R Studio, start right here. This is R Studio, the integrated development environment for the R programming language. You go right here, File, New File, R Markdown. This is what changed everything. We're gonna see it through the presentation. Okay, guys. I got the PPT right here. Introduction to R Markdown. This is the logo of the package of the R Markdown. The R right here is that changed everything, changed the game. Well, what are we gonna see through the presentation? Markup languages, markup language, Markdown, the lightweight markup language, R Markdown syntax, and YAML samples. So markup languages, Markdown, R Markdown, the syntax for both languages. What tools are we gonna use? R programming language, I always recommend the latest version. RStudio, the integrated development environment for the R programming language. R Markdown, the package that allows you to mix all together, plain text, R programming code, Python code, SQL code, and other programming languages. And sure, Python. Markup language. This is an HTML tag, and we're going to talk about that. A markup language, it allows you to encoding the text contained in documents. You add tags that give you information about the configuration, the presentation, the final presentation of your document. Establish what information will be presented and how it should be displayed to the final user. And the markup language for excellence is HTML, the hypertext markup language. And then shows up the lightweight markup language. As you can see, this feather above the HTML tag try to make it easier, simple to create an HTML document without using HTML tags. A lightweight markup language make easy to create and edit documents, formatting text contained in documents, and a simple syntax, easy to read, easy to use, seeks to turn the complex into something simple. And the lightweight markup language for excellence is Markdown. The philosophy behind Markdown is to, in the end, to create that HTML document, but without using HTML tags. Make it simple, make it easy for the final user, for the developer to create those documents. And that M, that big one, is the symbol, the logo of Markdown. Lightweight markup language, easy of publication, easy to read, easy to use. You don't have to memorize dozens, hundreds of HTML tags. Those symbols, those characters that Markdown use are the ones you use regularly. In the end, you will convert your document into an HTML document. My favorite screen, the strawberry one, the strawberry screen. We're going to talk about the Markdown flavors, but first I want to show you this before going into the Markdown flavors. Where is it? Picture these ones right here. This ice cream. This is the base of an ice cream. You start with a basic ice cream, basic flavor, and then you turn it into something more complex. Pesidur is a famous brand, ice cream brand here in Peru, and we got all these flavors right here. So with Markdown, you start with basic syntax, with a basic ice cream, and then you go to something more complex, more flavors, more features, something like that. And that happened with Markdown, with the Markdown flavors. You got, I don't know, orange, you got tricolor, you got cheesecake, you got choco chips, we call it choco chips, something like that. Markdown flavors, the ice cream. Among those Markdown flavors, Common Markdown, GitHub, GFM. If you work with GitHub, and I'm sure you do work with GitHub, you can write some text using Markdown about explaining your GitHub repository. Markdown Extra, multi-markdown. These ones are markdown flavors. It's basic markdown, but it depends on the platform or the context you use markdown. You add new features. You make more powerful your markdown syntax. And along all these flavors, you got R markdown. R markdown is a markdown flavor that these R right here change everything. With R markdown, you can put all together plain text, your research, put mix with R programming code and create reports and dashboards. And yeah, but where Python comes along, I work with Python. I don't work with R. Yeah, that the preconceived idea is that when you work with R Markdown, you can only work with R, but that's wrong. You can work with R, you can work with Python, SQL, C++, put all together and create your reports. We're gonna see that right here. Go right to RStudio. Go right here, new file, and go right here, R Markdown. Every single tutorial out there on YouTube, if you check out, start right here. Every single tutorial, even the official ones from RStudio, right here, with this template. With this template. But we're gonna change that and go to the foundation. We need to teach you first Markdown. And we're gonna do that through here. New file, new file, Markdown file. Markdown gives you the structure, the framework to present your report, your dashboard. We're gonna set the foundation with Markdown and then go right to R Markdown to put all together our programming code, Python code, and create reports and create these ones that I could just share with you. We're gonna create these ones right here. This one right here. Putting all together, text, pictures. We're gonna run our programming functions. Add Python code, get an output, something like this. Okay, guys. So once again, RStudio, file, new file, go right to Markdown file. We start with the header, the YAML header. 3 to 4 keywords, title. Let me see. Lightweight markup language. Markdown. Go like this. So title, subtitle. These ones are basic keywords for Markdown. Markdown, R Markdown. We're gonna set the foundations and then go right to R Markdown and date. Right, this is a YAML, the header of your Markdown document. Title, subtitle, author, and date. You can even add HTML tags to add comments. Add comments to your Markdown document. This one won't show up in the final final HTML output. HTML tags, right? So we got the YAML the header of your Markdown document, we are adding this comment using HTML tags. They work in an R Markdown document. And we go something like this. Basic Markdown syntax. This is a header. By the way, sorry guys, you can follow me right here. While I'm writing this down, you can check out the document right here. This one right here. Check out this document is the same I'm creating here, so you can follow the explanation, titles and headers, something like that. It's pretty similar to HTML HTML for headers from 1 to 6. We are using this hashtag. There too. Copy this. Right. Sorry, guys. 4, 5, and 6. From 1 to 6 to create headers in a Markdown document. You're not using HTML tags to create this, just a simple hashtag. What's the result of all this? Preview, HTML, Markdown, syntax, 100. It's turning this Markdown syntax into an HTML document. By the way, you identify a Markdown document with MD, Markdown documentation. As you can see, this is an HTML document without using HTML tags. Markdown gives you the framework, the structure for your document. Right here, you got the YAML, the header, with the title, subtitle, the name of the developer, of the author, and date. And right here, you got the headers. It's similar to this document I'm sharing with you. Pretty similar. Go right here. We go to formatting, bold, italic, strike through, and underline. Markdown is everywhere. It's everywhere, and sometimes we're not aware of that. Where is it? Okay. This is my WhatsApp account. Why are you showing us your WhatsApp account? Your message, your private message. Hi guys. Hi guys. Text formatting as bold. This is Markdown in WhatsApp. Text formatting as italic. text strike through. I think they call it squiggly, this symbol, squiggly. What's up? You're formatting some text, and this is marked down. Bold, italic, and strike through. Go back to RStudio. Text formatting as bold. Text formatting as italic. This squiggle symbol. Text formatting as strike through. Right. We go right here. And we're going to turn that into an HTML document. As you can see, text formatting as bold, text formatting as italic, text strike through. Open in browser, your HTML document right here. What about the underline? What about this? In the Markdown world, there is no underline at all. You have to use HTML tags. And you got an underline right here. Links. How do you create links? Square brackets, parentheses. And I got this one right here. Please. Oh yeah, this one right here. Visit Czech Republic. Right here. Right here. So we got angle brackets to add URL to our HTML document, square brackets, and parentheses. Visit Czech Republic. The same, but we're gonna add a tooltip. Keep in mind that I'm not using HTML tags at all. As you can see, the tooltip right here, visit Czech Republic, and those links right here. Open in browser, an HTML document without, once again, without using HTML tags. Right here. I'm gonna take it from here. This is a local file, our logo PNG, and this is an online picture of Python. It's the same structure to add a link, but you have to add this one before the square bracket. So you turn it into, you add the pictured image into your HTML document. And you're using HTML tags to center those pictures. Here we go. This one right here is a local image, and this one right here is an online picture of Python, Python Power. And this is the core of our presentation, code. Let's go with this one first. Code chunks. We call it in Markdown and R Markdown chunk, a section of your document that contains a code from R, code from Python, SQL, and other programming language. This is squiggle 3 times on the top and the bottom, and you create that chunk. This is a basic one to create a bar chart. Yeah, but what's this? I mean, what are you showing us? This is our programming language code, but Markdown don't run that code, don't execute that code. It just show it to the final user. Our Markdown give you the framework, the presentation, but never run it. It's just a framework, a way to formatting your plain text. It's taking this Markdown, our programming language code, and show it to the final user, but it doesn't run it. File, new file, our script. This is the code I'm using in Markdown. That's right. It's a simple bar chart. It's a simple bar chart, but here in an R programming language script, I can run that code. But when I'm working with Markdown, it just show up. It takes it as a plain text. Right here, the same. I'm creating a chunk, but this time I'm setting the R right here. Preview HTML. The same here. It's just a framework, a way to show your code, but it doesn't take it as a code, just plain text. And this is Python code. This is a chunk for Python. And we're using Matplotlib. Import Matplotlib as PLT, set the axis, X and Y, set the color, and run it. Set the titles for X, for Y, the main title for the chart, and show up the chart. But Nothing happened. Just show that code right here. Just show the code. Let me copy this. File, new file, Python script in RStudio. Before I run this code, let me get back. Right here, I think I got it here. Ice cream. This one right here. Sorry, guys. I think I missed it. Oh, yeah. Python RA single home for RStudio. Oh, yeah. I got it here. A single home for R and Python. And that's what we're going to do right now. This is Python code. Sure, you have to get installed Python in your system, in your laptop, in your computer. I already got installed Matplotlib right here. Matplotlib is installed in my system. And I go, take a look at this, to the console, R4.1.2, right? So you need to get installed in RStudio this package, Reticulate. That's the name of the package, Reticulate. That package is the interface between RStudio and Python. Let me clean the console. So we got like this, Reticulate, REPL Python. Take a look at the console. It's an R programming console. And we're gonna change that. And now it's a Python console, right? Python 3.10 in RStudio. Now we can run this code. Gonna take a couple of seconds. Let me run it like this, one by one. Sometimes it works one by one. One, right, right here, right here, this one right here, this one right here, and this one right here. Oh, okay. It worked. This is a bar chart created in RStudio using Python code, using Matplotlib library. But when you work with Markdown, it just show up the code. It doesn't run it. But it gives you the framework, the structure to create your report, your dashboard. So this is the foundation. These are the basics from Markdown. Now we go right to our Markdown. Ah, by the way, if you make a mistake here, something like this, a simple one, yeah, you took those away. You know that there is a mistake in your Python code, right? It will run it anyway. because for Markdown is just plain text. It's no code at all. But if you do that with your Python code and took those away, you won't run anything. You will get a mistake, and that's what's going to happen when I work with R Markdown. With R Markdown, if you got a mistake in your code, you won't be able to create the output. You won't be able to create your final document. Run it, run it, run it here, right here. Hey, name orange is not defined. You see, that doesn't happen when you work with Markdown, because Markdown take this Python code as plain text, just plain text. Okay, so MD for a Markdown document. We go right file, new file, R Markdown. Show up this kind of window. You set title, author, and date. As you can see right here, you got default output format, HTML, PDF, and Microsoft Word. We're going to go for HTML, but we can switch to PDF and Microsoft Word. And go right here. This is the template of a R Markdown document. As you can see, always Markdown document, R Markdown document, start with YAML, with the header. Title, author, date, and hey, what about this? By default, an HTML document, but you can switch to PDF or Microsoft Word or other formats. Right here, you got the chunk, the main chunk, the setup chunk. We're going to explain it later. Plain text, just plain text. Markdown syntax around plain text. Chunk, in the chunk, you got our programming language code, functions, comments. Plain text again, a chunk right here, and plain text right here. Need HTML. This is the template. R Markdown 101. Here we go. This is an R Markdown document. HTML. On my right side, we got a Markdown document turned into HTML document, but it's just plain text, and you add some formatting, some structure, some framework. It's an HTML document in the end. The same here, it's an HTML document in the end, but I think I got the code right here. Let me get this. Sorry, guys. I got so much. Yeah, anyway. So at my left side, I got an R Markdown document turned into HTML, but I can execute the code. I can run it. YAML, my header, plain text. You got Markdown syntax. You got R programming language function. You just don't show up as plain text formatting that function, that command. You show it and you run it. You can create this chart. and add some other features when you work with R Markdown. Go back to RStudio. It's right here. And once again, file, new file, again, R Markdown. Yeah, again, but we're going to create an empty document right here. So always the YAML, title, R Markdown document, something like that, R Markdown document, subtitle, R Markdown, Markdown, author, and date. Oh, sorry, guys. All right. Take a look at this RMD, RMD, R Markdown documentation. When we work with Markdown, it's just MD, Markdown documentation, Markdown document. When we work with a R Markdown, you check out the tab RMD. Add comments to your R Markdown document. HTML tags. The YAML, the header, and below the header, we add an R programming language chunk. This is a simple one. You just add a R programming language chunk, but you turn it into the main chunk, but adding this keyword, setup include false. Why false? Because you don't want to show up all the code you're going to put in here. Oh, sorry, guys. Neater, OPTS, chunk, $sign. Oh, sorry. Set echo through, right? This is the main chunk of your R Markdown document. And you're telling your document that for each and every single chunk you're going to add in your document, show the code and the output of that code, that execute that code. Plain text with Markdown syntax. Title type 2, number 2. Yes, plain text. And you're setting some formatting here. Bold, the bold one. Center, center. When we were working with Markdown, we show you how to add pictures to your document. Handmade bar chart. Let's run it. R Markdown document. Another one. Sorry, guys. By the way, is this one? the one you have to follow. Sorry, I got so focused on this. This one are the one you have to follow all along. YAML, your header, plain text, and you just add a picture. The bar chart is a statistical graph that allows you to represent the frequency distribution of discrete qualitative and quantitative variables, something like that. An HTML document without using HTML tags. Go back. Plain text again. We add a R programming language chunk, R, right here. A anticorps. We're adding a name to that chunk, anticorps. And inside this chunk, our programming language, a function, summary function, anticorps, summary. Don't worry, guys. The Python code is coming along. Anticorps, seal, and summary, anticorps, gear. Right? So and just like this, you're running our programming functions in your HTML final document. This function and the result, the execution of the function, as you can see. Turn it into an HTML document. Go back. When you work with our programming packages, you need to add those packages you're going to run in your document right here in the main chunk. For Python libraries, it's not the case. You just have to get installed in your system. You don't have to add it the libraries right here in this chunk. So library ggplot and library lattice and library bembed R. For creating charts, lattice is the same for the R programming language, creating chart, and bembed R for adding videos into your R Markdown document. Let's change that and say matplotlib, right here. Let's change that. Right here. This is much better. Right here. Let's add matplotlib. We got enough of our programming language code and function. So we got matplotlib, and we go right here. We don't go for R, we go for Python. And as you can see, you cannot batch the 3 Python RCPP. I think this is the package for C++ programming language, SQL, and Stan, and much more other programming languages. We go for Python chunk. Matplotlib is a Python library that allows you to create high-quality statistical plots. We will focus on the variable cylinders to create a bar plot. You got your Python chunk here. We go for the Python code to create that bar chart and paste it. But before we create the HTML document, we go right here. This is the Python chunk, and run it and see if our code is okay. It will take a couple of minutes, seconds. Sometimes it takes time. All right. Yeah. As you can see, before you can create the HTML document, you can check out your code and see if everything is okay. In this case, the code is fine. For R programming packages, you need to add it right here. ggplot, lattice, b embed R. But as just said, for a Python libraries, you just need to get all those Python libraries installed in your system and just add the chunk. Okay, go for it. This can take just a couple of seconds, a couple of minutes, not hours, not at all. It depends on the complexity of the document. Open in browser, HTML document, YAML, your header, plain text, pictures, R programming language functions, and Matplotlib. Python code turned into an HTML document, and the final output, the bar chart. Python code. But when you work with Python in RStudio, you can ask yourself, Renzo, what's this? You got one chunk here, one chunk right below, and some kind of warning or error message. I can show this as a report. What's going on here? Take a look at this. One chunk here and one chunk here, but you got just one chunk in your back end, right? I asked myself the same question, and I went through all the internet to solve this kind. It's not a problem. It's the default configuration when you work with Python in RStudio. How can we solve this? How can we take away this error message, this bar container object, and put all this together in just one single chunk, right? So I think I got the answer. First, you have to name your chunk, always. Matplotlib. Why name it? Because right here on the stay bar, some kind of a stay bar, you can navigate through your document, titles and chunk by chunk. That's the reason we name the chunks. I need to go to the main chunk. Go right to the main chunk. I need to go to the empty card chunk. Go right to the empty card chunk. Hey, take me to the Python chunk, Matplotlib. Go to that Matplotlib chunk. Okay, how can I solve that? Results. Results high. This one right here, this kind of a keyword, takes away this warning message. This one right here goes away. It will take a couple of seconds. Don't worry, guys. And here we go.
We are slowly hitting 1 hour mark. How far are we with the presentation? Sorry,
we're about to finish.
Okay, we will have some questions then. But
sure. I will answer all the questions you got, and we still got two chunks here. How can we solve that? with collapse true. Right here. With collapse true. We put all together that Python code. Right here. One single chunk. And we go right to publish our POPs, and we publish our document in our POPs. Python code, let me put it, Python code, R Markdown. I won't put a description, Python, R Markdown, 101. And you got this right here. If you wanna take it, and I finish with this, to Netlify, all you got to do is to put together your R Markdown code and name it as index right here, index. I'm sharing with you the URL, and we finish with this right here, Netlify, and drag the folder. The site has not yet been deployed. Will take a couple of seconds, and you got the code right here. So that's the way, a basic way to create an HTML document, add our programming language code and Python code using RStudio. Thank you, guys. I'm open to all questions about the presentation. Thank you, Jakub.
Thank you very much for presenting.
Guys.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, very in-depth look in how to do it. So we have Tomáš. I will leave you to ask the question again aloud, so it's not only us talking.
I can read it. I imagine when you get used to plain text and have to use a regular language, it can lead to formatting syntax of language in a very large document. It can be the can be a headache, but yeah, Renzo, all this code. I mean, I need to do something else. I can take hours and hours coding. For that, RStudio got visual. So you can work with RStudio, creating your R Markdown document as you're working in Microsoft Word. Use visual mode, switch to visual mode. And you got some kind of a Microsoft Word inside RStudio, and you can add all those features using some kind of a R Markdown, a Microsoft Word environment, right? You got all this. Headers, you can insert code chunks, LaTeX, paragraph, tables, so that can make your life easier when you're working with RStudio and R Markdown. And if you're working with large documents, this feature may make easier to work with large documents, source or visual.
Thank you very much. I have a question also. So now you're getting more comfortable with Python. Did you think about switching from R into Python, or there are specific things in R language that are not replaced yet, or would be very hard to replace?
I love Brian's presentation because I'm a beginner in Python, but let me show you this. I'm a beginner in Python. I've been working with Python for 5 to 6 months, beginner. And take a look at this. I'm working with, this is in Spanish, right? Interactive math in Python, Folium and Pandas, right? Let me run it. This is Jupyter Notebook, right? Jupyter Notebook. I already load these Python libraries, create a base map using OpenStreetMap, a base map using Folium. And I repeat once again, I got a beginner. I'm a beginner in Python. I'm making my way into the Python world. Latitude and longitude. Take a look at this. A beginner in Python. Not bad with with a very solid R programming language background. I'm a specialist in R programming language, but just making the very first steps into the Python world. But I'm creating this with my basic knowledge of Python. Marker, circle, and logo. Taking a couple of seconds. One second. Let me see. Take a look at this, guys. A mini map, a whole map, a marker, and a circle using Folium. Take a look at the logo right here. And I'm kind of a rookie in Python. I teach R programming language, and I encourage to my students, hey, you wanna hit the data science world? Go to data visualization, go to maps in Leaflet, go to maps in Folium with Python, and you just need the basic knowledge of Python. We got menus, tiles. Let me run it here. Oh, there's some kind of error, but that answered your question. With basic knowledge, you can go to data visualizations, to interactive maps, and create something decent with that.
Nice, very nice. Thank you. I had also the usual question: what is your most favorite library?
Of course, Folium, because it's really easy to create those interactive maps with a basic knowledge of Python. No? I'm not sure Matplotlib.
And what and Pandas, I guess.
Yeah, Pandas. I'm making my way. If I tell you that I'm an expert on Pandas, I'd be lying to you. I'm a kind of expert on Folium because I keep working on Folium. And my knowledge in Pandas is kind of basic, but it's enough to create those maps. So I love Brian's presentation about, hey, you can have this basic knowledge in Python and create these wonderful maps. No, but sure, I'm making my way, and if I want to create something complex, I need to increase my knowledge on Python. No?
And it's very worthy.
Yeah, it's working.
Do we have any more questions from the public?
I have a question. So does R manage memory management the same as Python, or does it do it differently? Like, does it do it more like C++? How does it deal with memory management?
Kind of as more like C++, but when I work with Python, it's really fast. I mean, it takes time when I work with R to create a chart, to run a code. But when I work with Python, it's really, 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 really easy. It runs faster. No?
Thank you very much for the question. Do we have any more questions that we would like to ask? Well, that is it. Thank you very much for joining. So we can turn into the social part of the meetup. So Jirka, please stop the recording if you haven't done so. And yeah,